Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cultivating Your Trifecta Tribe of Mentors, Peers, and Mentees in Business with Michelle Talbert. My name is Colin Mayen, and I'm a program manager at the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center. And for those of you who may not know, the Nasdaq Center is a nonprofit dedicated to enabling entrepreneurs from all over the world to realize their maximum potentials and grow. As you may have just seen in the chat, the Nasdaq Center, along with our partner Mentor Cloud, launched a free mentor matching platform for entrepreneurs called Mentor Makers. You can create your own advisory board to guide and inspire you with in-the-moment mentorship from topic experts and professionals dedicated to providing exceptional mentorship to entrepreneurs across all races, industries, and geographies. So you can find or become a mentor today by using the link in the chat. Mentorship matters to all entrepreneurs. We know their success is dependent on it. Quick housekeeping item, we're going to open up for live Q&A at the end of the event, so please submit your questions in the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen throughout the presentation. Now, none of what we do here could be possible without all the amazing support from our sponsors, including Nasdaq, Lehigh University, Bank of the West, KPMG, Wilson Sonsini, Woodruff Sawyer, and BPM. We're humbled by their contributions. Now, during these still unique times, we're curious on how sentiment is among the entrepreneurs that we work with. So we're going to start by taking a quick poll to let us know how you're doing. So just give us a moment to let us know how you're doing today, and then we'll jump right into the content. We've been measuring this since the beginning of the quote-unquote lockdown, and hopefully with vaccines and many other differences in relating to the pandemic helping out, that you guys are feeling a little bit more optimistic, and it feels like you are. So I'm gonna end those polls, share those results. Optimism's on the rise, but understand that there's still some anxiety and just surviving out there. Hopefully our presentation will help you with those. So without any further delay, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our special guest, Michelle Talbert, Esquire. She's the founder and chief visionary officer at Her Power Space. Michelle, welcome.
I am so excited to be here, Colin, not the least reason of which is the different ways you say still on all of your different videos.
Well, we're so happy to have you. So over to you. And yeah, good luck. Enjoy, everyone.
I am super excited to be here. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and kick us off. I would love to know, where are folks? So drop in the chat, where are you from? Let us know while I get my slides up for us. I am here in today it's sunny, Broward County, South Florida, and I am excited. We are talking about virtually creating and cultivating our trifecta tribe of mentors, mentees, and peers. So in addition to letting us know where you're from, I'd love to know, are you looking for a mentor? 1, a mentee, 2, or a peer, 3. So drop a 1 for mentor, 2 for mentee, 3 for peers in the chat. I would love to know what's bringing you out today. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the radio station WIIFM, but that is the station from which I broadcast. And what that means is, what's in it for me? From your perspective, why are you here? I want to be sure that we are meeting the needs of you as you are going through this journey with me. And so what happened is, about 5-6 years ago, I was attending webinars and different events and finding myself sitting in the audience, spending time, gas, etc., saying, why am I here? What brought me here? And I realized that by creating a worksheet that helped me, number 1, hold the presenter accountable for the promises and the deliverables and the purpose of the actual event, but also to hold myself accountable, to take notes, to really lock into the material, and finally, to actually implement one thing within 24 hours that I learned. I created the worksheet, the WIIFM, the What's in It for Me worksheet. And Nasdaq, Cody, and Colin have been dropping the worksheet link into the chat. You also probably received it after registration. So feel free, you can open that up and take notes alongside right while we're going through our time together today so that this is of most value to you. So Colin, where are people from and are they looking for mentors, mentees, or peers?
Yeah, we've got DC, New York, Pennsylvania, San Francisco, Michigan, Portland, Oregon, Lakewood, California. Let's see, Indiana, welcome. Brooklyn, hello.
Brooklyn is always in the house. I'm from Queens. Brooklyn is always in the house. I love it.
And then, yeah, it looks like we got a good mix of ones and threes, but some with all. But yeah, I think it's about 50-50 looking for one and looking for three.
Okay, perfect. You're in the right place. I love it. So out of the gate, no pun intended, yes pun intended, after I define what a trifecta is, right? A trifecta is the ability to call, in generally a horse race, the first, second, and third. That's like a huge purse. If you can call those top three to finish, right? The winners, the top three, that trifecta. And your tribe, it's your peeps, the people who are around you who you can trust, the people around you who will hold you accountable, the people who you hold accountable. So this is about putting together your winning group of folks to help you move to your next level of success. Now, you may have heard this African proverb in the past that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And so what that means, and it's a beautiful sentiment, right? It means that if you go on a journey solo, you're agile. Maybe you can move a little faster, right? It may take a little longer to get to your destination if you go with others, but you can go farther, according to this African proverb. I actually want to turn that on its head a little bit. And what I say is that if you want to go farther, faster, go with your tribe. That's how that works. Because as Jim Rohn says, success leaves clues. And when you get the clue, if someone else has already gone through the maze and they come back to the beginning and go, hey, I got the exact way for you to get to the exit, right? And that is actually faster, farther. So that's where we're coming from with putting together your trifecta tribe. So I want to know, and I can't see you, so we're going to be on the honor system here, but I hope you do this. I would love to know, are you ready to stretch? Drop a that's me or a yes in the chat, because I'm going to make you stretch. We're going to stretch today, and I want to know if you're ready to stretch. If you are seated, or if you'd like to stand up and let some blood flow through you, there's going to be a highly interactive time. You're going to be typing back and forth to me. I want to know what you're thinking and what your questions are. And so what I'm going to ask of you is, Colin, do people say that they're ready to stretch?
Oh yeah, we got a lot of yeses.
All right now. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, please raise your arms above your head. You can't type, so I'm not going to ask you any questions. Raise your arms above your head. And make sure they're going as high as they can. Are you as high as you can go? Awesome. Now go a little further. I'm going to ask, how many of you went a little further after I said, okay, go a little further? I would love to know. Say, that's me if you went a little further, right? Did you go as high as you could go? Even if when I asked you, are you as high as you can go? I'd love to know. Colin, I don't know if you did it. Did you do it too, Colin? Or are you just like...
I actually did do it.
And did you go a little further?
I did.
See? And why is that? Why is that? Are folks saying that they had a little bit more left to give?
They're saying, that's me.
That's it, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you a little video of my favorite little buddy. I don't know if you have seen The Incredibles, the first movie. If you have, there's a little spoiler alert because this is definitely the end of the movie, right? But the son's name is Dash. And Dash is a little superhero in this superhero family. And as we all know, superheroes can't tell the world that they're superheroes. So all Dash wants to do is run because he's fast. And his parents will not let him run. Dash can't play in any sports where he has an unfair advantage. So by the end of the movie, this is Dash with his family on the sidelines.
Don't give up! Make it close! 4 seconds! 6 seconds! Play! Yeah! That's my boy!
So how many of us have people on our sidelines that are saying, no, don't go too fast, don't go too far. Okay, just make it a close second, right? And that's them allowing him to show some of his prowess, his unfair advantage. Well, the reality is that when we have a trifecta tribe, we have an unfair advantage. And there's nothing wrong with that. We tap into our inner Dash. And the key, though, to unlocking that inner Dash, that inner superpower, is setting our intention. So you're going to hear me talk a lot today about our intention. I started by saying the What's in It for Me worksheet. It's all about intention. Why are you here? You're here to get mentors. You're here to get mentees. You're here to get peers, right? You're here to learn something, but that's only the first part of it. The second part is to apply it. So what does success look like for you today? Feel free to drop that in the chat. Define success for you for our hour together today. What does that look like in a sentence, in a couple of words? What does that look like for you? And I'm going to take a little sip of water. Colin, do we have any answers coming in?
Not yet. I think people are still typing. Oh, we've got them coming in. Meaningful connections with like-minded individuals.
Yes.
Passion about pursuing the entrepreneurial dream.
Yes.
Understanding how to put my team together. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
To learn and apply at least one strategy.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
Building a great team.
Awesome.
Learning something new and connecting to others to build strong, lasting relationships. How to get started.
I love it. Let's go. Okay. So my 3 promises to you today are that you're going to be able to set your course for success by having a clear intention of what you need. And then we're going to identify what makes you unique. This is what you have. And then we're going to have strategies and techniques that you will be able to implement today. And because I am a member of the Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center community, I know that you guys should be sharing LinkedIn links today in the chat together, right? You should be connecting with other folks who are here. Someone said that they're looking for like-minded folks. What better place than finding people on a webinar together, right? So share your LinkedIn. I'm not one of those like teachers that are like, don't type when we're talking. No, connect. This is where you can find peers, mentors, and mentees, low-hanging fruit, right? Okay, so I have one more video for you, and I think this is really important. You might recognize this guy.
And look at you today, man.
Yeah. And I just think that's really critical, right? And it's like, because everybody has dreams. And as much as you want to be able to listen a little bit, because somebody's going to give you a gem, but nobody knows but you. You can't get advice on what you should do with your life, right? Nobody knows what you are. Like even sometimes you don't really even know what you are. You got to take your shot. And it's like, as much as you want people to agree and you want the people around you to be supporting your dreams and all, it's not going to be like that all the time. You got to do it alone. And people will help you, and when you get the ball rolling, people will jump on. But if you don't believe, nobody else is going to believe. People come along because your belief is so insane, that your belief is so strong, that makes people be like, yo, this crazy ass. Like, he might have something. He might have something. You know, you is a little funny. You is a little funny. You know, but seriously, you know, following your dreams is a lonely, solitary, scary, dangerous pursuit. You can't wait for somebody to think you can do it. And it's like because they don't think you can do nothing they can't do.
Exactly, bingo.
Right? You know what I mean? It's like it's a lonely, scary, dangerous pursuit, and you got to be willing to risk everything to become that seed of what you believe.
And look at you today, man.
So
And
the reason that I share Will Smith with this particular quote, this snippet at the beginning of a conversation about, hey, let's find people to help us along our journey, is because I don't want you to ever lose sight of you. And I don't want you to ever lose sight of your gift, your vision, your journey. We are connecting with people to help us along to achieve the goals, to achieve the success as we've defined it, right? It's our intention. And it is still a lonely pursuit. It is not easy. However, it is ours. So even when you have a mentor, even when you share your vision with someone else, there is a possibility that they will not get it. Do not allow their station, wherever they are along their journey, to influence what you know and believe is inside of you. And the other reason that I share Will is because he's what? One of the highest paid actors in Hollywood history, right? But yet he still talks about it's dangerous, it's lonely. I mean, he makes it sound like we're out there scrapping, moving through thorny brush, because we are. And so with that being said, now that I know a little bit about you, we got Brooklyn in the house, we got San Francisco in the house, okay? I am Queens in the house, and I am Michelle Talbert, as Colin explained. I graduated from high school when I was 17 years old, went and got a good federal government job, got married at 18, had my son at 19, my daughter at 20, started taking community college classes at night while I was working full-time as administrative assistant. And by the time I was 22, I was a divorced single mom with 2 kids in diapers under 2. That was just the beginning, though, because after almost 10 years of going to school at night and working during the day and raising these kids, I transferred up to Cornell University. And my kids and I spent 3 years there. We walked across the stage getting our bachelor's degree. That is my 10-year-old at the time. As I dried my tears at my graduation, then I went on to law school at University of Pennsylvania, went back down to Washington, D.C., practiced corporate law. And that is them now. And I ended up not loving it as much as I thought I would. But here I am. I set my intention. I knew what I was going to do. I spent basically 16 years of mine and my children's lives pursuing this goal of being a lawyer, a corporate lawyer. However, student loans and all of that, right? You're going to keep practicing. So I was practicing law, and by then had my second divorce, and I was 40. So I ended up co-writing a book, self-published. It was 2011, talking about online dating for people over 40 after divorce, and did not know how to market this thing. It's 2011. Twitter was kind of just coming around and into its own in a way that was more accessible. And one of my friends said, hey, why don't you start talking on Twitter? So I hit Twitter with a vengeance, just talking about subject matter related to the topic in the book. And I got a DM, an inbox message from one of the editors at Ebony Magazine. Now, how many of y'all know Ebony Magazine, right? That's on grandma's coffee table, that's on mama's coffee table, and it was on my coffee table. And at that moment, it clicked for me in 2011 how powerful social media can be and how many people you can touch through social media. And from there, I was invited to President Obama's penultimate State of the Union address at the White House, and I've been able to partner and get access and be featured in a lot of publications and opportunities. However, because of that, social media piece, I took my community along with us, and women began to inbox message me just like that Ebony editor and ask me questions about how they could become successful on their entrepreneurial journey, how they could have access to opportunities. And from that spawned the Her Power Moves community, which is a community of about 1,500 women worldwide, where we share and connect, and we say we connect, collaborate, and create cash flow unapologetically. So after 5 years of nurturing that community, I put down roots here in Broward County, Florida, and wanted to have a home base, not just for my community of women entrepreneurs, but for our local community, to have a place to come and connect with other entrepreneurs and small business folks and get the services that they need to present as big business, right? Because we're micro businesses and we're bootstrapping and we're working and we're side hustling. And so in January 2020, I opened the doors to Her Power Space, which is a co-working space podcast studio here in Broward County, Florida. Note that date. How do your 2020 look, right? I opened the doors to a place for people to come together and commune, my very first brick and mortar business, 3 months before the pandemic shut us all down. So here's a little bit about that story.
Forward, we were basically sold out heading into April. And March 31st, I officially closed the doors. There were people during the pandemic, especially in early April, who would reach out to me and say, Michelle, what's your Cash App? Let me just sow a seed. I know that this isn't an easy time for you. Similarly, there were people who made it possible for me to get out of bed. When the pandemic first hit, I was in the fetal position in my bed, like, what have I done? What am I going to do? And I would always say the pandemic is global, but it feels personal. And I think for each of us, we were impacted in different ways, right? And so for me to be able to say, how can I serve our community? And for our community to say, we can't let Michelle fail, it was like we fed off of each other and really made it possible for all of us to kind of continue to rise.
You guys.
So with that
Forward, we were basically...
Seth Godin has a quote that says, earn trust, earn trust, earn trust. Then you can worry about the rest. And it was because of the trust built in our community that we were able to pivot, as many companies did online. And it was because of the relationships, the mentors, the mentees, the peers, my own Trifecta tribe, that our doors are still open today. I'm standing in this space as we speak. And so I share that to share with you the power of intention and the power of having a community around you who can help you move forward toward your success. So Colin, as I move on to the next slide, are there any questions?
No questions just yet. Just a ton of people sharing their LinkedIns and trying to connect with one another, which is pretty great.
I love that. I love that. Don't forget to connect with me too, y'all. Okay, so how do you define success in your business? I believe most of us are entrepreneurs. What does success look like for you in your business? We talked about what success looks like in this workshop. Now we're going to turn to what does success look like for you in your business? What relationships do you need to create to achieve your next level? I think for a lot of us, you know, that dichotomy of working on the business, working in the business. On the business is when you're able to strategize and think and be able to think about where you want to go next to drive that ship. I don't think you drive a ship, to drive that car. How about that? Okay. And working in the business is what a lot of us tend to do. It's the answering emails. It's the, servicing our clients. And while that's important, oftentimes we spend so much time in the business that we're unable to have the vision and set the intention. So I don't know how your journey to success has looked. Maybe you've been a very straight path kind of person, Mine is kind of more so like this. We're gonna need that's me. It's kind of like, I just gotta end up places. And it works out beautifully. But we're here together today to talk about setting intention. Any that's me's hitting the chat with that success journey looking a little more circuitous. For me, when I went into school and I just wanted to get away from bad bosses and have a door to close, right? I wanted to have my own office and I wanted to get rid of bad bosses. That's a great intention, but I don't know that that's the best intention, right? So today we're going to talk through a roadmap, a framework to help you as you're thinking through what really do I need? So we're going to whiteboard a little bit. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we are going to whiteboard. Colin, did any questions come in?
Not yet, but feel free to drop them in the bottom of the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen or in the chat, folks.
Okay, so I want to let you know that this framework, I am drawing it for you so that we can talk through it, but the very next slide will show it to you legibly and clearly, and also you'll be able to get a copy of this particular slide. At the end of the talk, I'll share that with you as well. Okay, so we're going to work through the framework for really developing any relationships that you need to go to the next level within your business. And we're going to then apply them specifically to obtaining mentors, mentees, and peers. So here we go. It may take a minute for the lighting to adjust. And don't worry if you don't see it fully. Like I said, it's more important that you hear it and kind of talk through it, and then you'll see the full slide when we are finished. So that's us here in the middle. It's a little smiley face, and we are looking to have mentors, mentees, and peers. And trust me, you will get this on the very next slide so that you can read it. Now, I don't know if you've heard, if you were playing a drinking game, which, you know, if you want to, I don't suggest it. I'm probably not supposed to suggest that. But if you were playing a drinking game, intention is probably the word that you would be able to win with. I say that word a lot, and it matters even more so as we are identifying who we need to have in our Trifecta tribe. So we're going to set our intention, and then we're going to ask that age-old question, who are you? Your identity, right? What is it about you that you have to offer? And then we look at implementation. So here we have our intention, introspection, which in essence is our identity, who are we? And then we're going to implement specific tactics, okay? And again, if you can't see it, please don't freak out. You will get it. Okay. With regard to intention, a very specific action that you can take is to define your desires. Just as I was talking a moment ago about working on your business, it is so important to dream. It is so important to think, what is it that I want? And just not edit yourself. Make a full list. What are the desires for my business? Do not edit yourself. Do not ask yourself any questions about how it's possible. Just do an entire brain dump. And then we will edit by pruning our options, right? So what are the top 3 or 2 that rise up to the top that you feel like, okay, this is the next thing I need to do in my business. This is the next milestone I want to achieve. And then choose one and make that your ask. So now this is what I need, right? I now know what I need. Okay, but we're talking about mutually beneficial relationships. So that means, what do I have to offer? So you're going to identify your value. What do you bring to the table? What is your superpower? And then you're going to find the people, you're going to find your folks you're going to find the people who actually also need what you have. They need your value. And then you're going to part the seas. You're going to set the stage to stand apart so that the folks who actually have what you need, now you can identify them as needing what you have because you've identified what you have. So here we're looking at what is it that you need, which many of us, I'll be quite frank, and we don't mean to be selfish, but oftentimes we sit down and think, what is it that I need? And then we go out and look for that mentor who's able to give us what we need, or we look for that relationship that's able to give us what we need. But what we're doing with this framework for unnetworking and building your Trifecta tribe is creating a mutually beneficial relationship, which means that I'm not only looking for people who have what I need, but I also want to be able to pour into them. And I will tell you right now that you have something that Oprah Winfrey, billionaire, needs. And I can tell you right now, if she came to your city and was speaking and you were, say, volunteering for this event, and Oprah Winfrey did not know how to get to the airport in your city, that is something that knowledge you probably have and could give her a ride. And how many of us would obviously volunteer to give Oprah Winfrey a ride to the airport? So don't count yourself out because of someone else's status. Really identify what your value is. And then what we're going to do is implement so that you bring together your needs and your haves, and now you identify where you're able to insert yourself and connect with folks. So we're going to meet those folks where they are. And oftentimes, like, that's why I'm telling you, connect on LinkedIn, right? Most of us are on LinkedIn from a business perspective. We can begin to see who else is there and go where they are, right? And then the next step is to then get noticed. And really the way to get noticed is to be different, is to stand out. And what's one of the biggest ways to stand out is to not be like everyone else who is coming into your inbox trying to sell you something on LinkedIn. You're going to get into people's inbox to actually offer them some value so that it is mutually beneficial. That is a huge way to get noticed. And then finally, you're going to ask exactly where we started. You've now identified your ask. You've identified people who are able to provide you with what you need and to whom you can add value. And then you're going to ask. You're going to ask for your ask that you defined at the beginning of this exercise. And so I'm going to share screen again and move on to the next slide so that you can see it and let that sink in. And then what I want to do, here it is right here, right? And what I want to say about, again, creating mutually beneficial relationships is that your ask is often your answer. Your ask is often your answer because you are interacting with other ethical business people who say to you, oh my God, Colin, you're giving me so much value. You're sending me articles, right? You see that I have a specific interest and you're letting me know about opportunities. You're staying connected to me. How can I help you? And that's when you then go, I know exactly how you can help me. So is this clear for folks? Because this is the framework, and then we're going to apply this to mentors, mentees, and peers. So I really want to just give an opportunity to see if there are any questions surrounding the framework so far, or any questions in general, or comments.
We got one question. Should your Trifecta tribe be in the same industry as you?
No. In fact, I find that people outside of your industry often have the ability to see things that you can't see. For instance, like I said, opened a co-working space in the beginning of a pandemic. And at the top of this year, late last year, I realized I needed help with sales. And I had a great colleague who I networked with and asked him to be my sales mentor. So we're going to talk about the specificity of that particular ask. He has spent the last 25 years building, growing, nurturing his 8-figure logistics and shipping business. So when I said, hey, can you be my sales mentor? He said, Michelle, I don't know anything about co-working spaces. And I said, but you do know how to sell. And he said, you are absolutely right. And he has definitely been able to help me think of creative ways outside of co-working, but still enabling me to connect with people and bring sort of a different perspective to selling. So yes, to people outside of your industry. One of the places that I find that people have the most challenge is in that identity section of the framework. They say to me, Michelle, I really don't have value. Like, even if I give the example of Oprah needing a ride to the airport, it's like, yeah, that's all well and good, but that doesn't apply to me. I don't have a unique value proposition, right? And so here I want to share both a personal way to look at your unique value proposition, and then the next slide will look at it from our business's perspective. So the first piece is think through, and there's a worksheet in the bonus materials that you'll get as well that you'll be able to download that goes through this, but think about a personal accomplishment that you're proud of and a personal hurdle that you've overcome, a business or education accomplishment that you're proud of, business or education hurdle that you've overcome. And hopefully that will begin just sort of going through that motion. I don't know if any of you have what's called an attaboy or an attagirl, like a pat on the back, shoulder type of file where people have said nice things about you. But this is one of the times to pull that out and look at what people compliment you on. Look at where people have expressed gratitude for you for doing something that 9 times out of 10 probably just felt like second nature to you. And then from your business's perspective, this is a really great additional framework that will be in your bonus materials as well, where you can plug in your business's name to succinctly identify who is it that you serve and what problem are you solving for them? Because again, sometimes we're spinning our wheel in the business, and this is a moment to step back and be very thoughtful. My New York accent just really came out. I even heard it, right? To be really thoughtful. So this is for me. My business solution is a community and co-working space called her Power Space that fixes an urgent problem facing micro business owners, very specific, especially side hustlers and solopreneurs. And that problem is lack of access to other business owners and business tools and resources. So when you put yourself into that context, it can help you really get clarity about what it is that you bring to the table. Okay, Michelle, yeah, that's all well and good, but I'm busy. I have things to do. And you want us to do all this like navel gazing, right? But that's not a bad thing. Because when you have your Trifecta tribe in place and you have people who understand your journey and who you can rely upon and who can pour into you and you can pour into, then actually there comes this moment of Zen because things are moving as they should, because you know where you're going. Remember, we're getting through the maze without all of the dead ends along the way. Are there any questions before we go into the mentors, mentees, and peers specifically?
Yeah, we got one question for, that says, how many folks do you need to have in your trifecta?
Sure. I think that what's helpful is that when you set your intention and you know what your ask is, then you get a better idea of who you need to have in place. So you may not need to have a mentor, mentee, and peer all at the same time at a given moment. This is really organic and fluid. Additionally, I feel and have been able to help my clients and myself use the framework to apply to all different types of relationships. So whether that's you need a to interact for more sales, or whether you need to interact with people who can help you get more speaking engagements, looking at your intention and knowing what it is that takes you to that next level of success, I think will enable you to define how many people do I really need to have. And we're going to talk now through some of the implementation phases and the strategies and techniques. And you're going to see where I speak specifically to thinking through and strategizing how to choose. Great question. Thank you. So mentors, you may have heard of something called the hero's journey, right? Luke Skywalker was on a hero's journey. Yoda shows up, Obi-Wan Kenobi, for his journey. And I only saw the first 3. Don't shoot me if that's a bad thing. But I will say that, you know, for the most part, Luke Skywalker, yes, he had some particular things to accomplish, but a lot of us think of mentor relationships for like the long haul, and sort of this overarching person who's going to take us through the entire journey of our career or our business goals. And what I'd like to suggest to you is that you think it through from the perspective of what is my most pressing need, and who then can help me. If they're not in my industry, that part doesn't matter. It's who can help me. So you can find that assistance anywhere. And then that conversation, that journey may just be 6 months, a year, or less until you hit a particular milestone. One of the most important pieces of being of choosing your mentor is making sure that you're a good mentee. And John Maxwell has some really great advice in terms of receiving criticism, because it's not always easy. Our businesses are our babies, and it's like somebody saying your baby is ugly, right? And that does not sit well. But you have to know yourself, which is why I share Will Smith at the beginning. So when you are grounded in what it is you're supposed to do and what the value is that you bring, and you kind of know yourself at your core and what sits right with you, that's that first piece. And then you change yourself, right? You make sure that, okay, you're right, I didn't think about that. You know, and maybe that is something I need to change. You accept yourself. You don't beat yourself up and say, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong. No, this is an organic process. And the fourth piece is forget yourself. You got to take your ego out of it, right? When you are the mentor, I think many of us shy away from being a mentor because we don't feel that we've reached some pinnacle of success. So whatever measurement of success it is that we think is out there, but yet not in here. And I have 2 responses to that. The first one is the age-old piece of when you teach, you learn, you really develop your understanding of it. If you really want to know a subject, teach it. And the other piece of that is that you yourself are standing where someone else wants to be. I guarantee you there is someone who really wishes that they were wherever you are along your journey. So please take a step back to help someone else, but make it clear now that you know the framework, and I do this with my mentees, now you can say to them, what is your intention? Where do you see me fitting in? How can I help you? So you can now hold your mentees accountable. And here are questions to ask of a mentor and to determine if you're the right mentor. How much time do I need to dedicate to this relationship? What is the expertise? Like I said, what is it that they specifically need? And then do I have that expertise? Or maybe I can refer them to someone else. Do you even like the person, right? It matters. This is a very personal relationship. And how will you communicate, right? These are the nuts and bolts of setting expectations so that you don't end up having to come to the hard conversation of this is really not working out for me. You're setting the expectations, and you're also now able to identify if it's working and if it's not. And then the availability and frequency of contact. How will you connect? Like I said, my mentor, he's in his 60s. He comes to my space once a month. And he reaches out to me, hey, Michelle, get us on the calendar. When are we meeting, right? It's important that that same framework we think about with our wonder twins, our peers, that person in our realm who we can just be completely, naked and unafraid with, who we can share, who we can commiserate with, who's also kind of side by side with us in the journey. Right? Whether or not they're in the same industry, some questions always come up about sort of, how much should I share? Should I sign an NDA? There's different ways to look at that with regard to seeking counsel. But the goal is to have these very ethical relationships. and to set the expectations at the beginning. So when you're looking at peers, do we have a balance of value? Again, they don't have to be in your industry, right? And sometimes that avoids problems with competition and other legal issues. Are your goals in alignment is the key. One of my biggest accountability buddies is in life insurance and I'm not even fully sure everything he does, but he's somewhere in insurance, but we read together and we understand concepts together. Again, the method of communication, setting the expectations, and then having a standard so that people can be held accountable. And then the hard conversation. Look, we set our expectations at the beginning of this relationship, and I don't think that mine are being met. I don't know where you are. Having that conversation is important. And again, identifying if this is a long-term, short-term, for a time, a reason, or a season. Are we going together through a milestone, or is this sort of an ongoing relationship? And then, do we have any introverts in the community? I'm an ambivert, right? Most people think I'm an extrovert, but I will be in a fetal position, sucking a thumb after this, right? Introverts, bonus. This goes for whether you are online or if you are in person. By having your intentions and your success goals clearly identified, I want to go to wherever Colin is. I want to go to New York to the next in-person Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center event. I know that I want to meet Colin. I know that I want to meet one of the people who are speaking on the stage. Now, I show up as an introvert. I get an opportunity to meet Colin, and I get an opportunity to meet one of the people speaking on the stage. And then I start to feel like I'm turning in on myself because I'm uncomfortable. I can leave as opposed to knuckling through. You don't have to knuckle through. When you have set your intentions clearly, you can then leave and know that you've been successful versus what many introverts do, which is go sit in the bathroom to try to recharge or go sit in their car to try to recharge. Okay, so that's a little bonus if we have any introverts. And then finally, thinking outside of the box. Someone already asked the question about the industry. Here are some other things to think outside of the box for. Paying for mentors. Now we have the mentor makers relationship with Nasdaq Entrepreneurial Center, so that's awesome. You can have virtual mentors, which almost everything is virtual at this point, so they could be located anywhere in the world. And then mastermind groups, which is the concept of people coming together in a group and the entire group being focused on a particular individual's challenge of the moment, creating a mastermind versus just your one mind that can be fully focused and looking to the resources to address that challenge. And finally, diversity. Diversity is not just about race or gender. Diversity is industry, diversity of thought, diversity of geography, but yes, also race and gender and age and so many other ways to think outside of the box about who you can pour into and add value to and who can add value to you. That was a lot of information, right? So first of all, thank you for hanging in there. And I would love to know if there are any questions. And also, is there one thing from our time so far together today that you are able to implement within 24 hours? I would love if you drop it in the chat. And some of you actually already did it, but I'm not going to let you use just sharing your LinkedIn as in the chat. I want to push you a little bit more on that. Colin, do we have any questions or any thoughts?
Yeah, we definitely have some questions. Somebody asked, how long did it take you to find your mentors and where did you meet them?
So I've had mentors all along my journey. So wherever I was at the time physically, so that could be in college. One of my key mentors when I was at Cornell was a member of Lyndon Johnson's administration. Like he was in his 70s 20 years ago, right? And he was one of my biggest proponents, understood what I was trying to do with my career and my education. And he was an amazing mentor and extremely honest. Again, like I mentioned, we have an amazing resource with Mentor Cloud Nasdaq relationship for the Mentors Makers program. Reach out because that's a platform where you can tap into folks, right? All over the place. So you're no longer limited by geography. But I say look for the qualities and the expertise that you have already set your intention that you know you need. hopefully that's helpful. Great question.
That's super helpful advice. And for everyone still on the call, feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. We'll try to get to them all. While we get ready for those questions to roll in, I'm going to take a quick poll, Michelle, that will help us hopefully navigate these next 8 minutes of questions. So this poll will help our discussion today on what's keeping you up at night as far as what sort of mentor, mentee, and peer relationship help you need, but also helps us at the center navigate the programming that we're going to be providing for you in the coming months. So appreciate you guys taking a moment while you're dropping your questions in to take this poll. What's keeping you up at night? Hopefully we can help you sleep better once we provide the programming that you've asked for. So I'm going to end this poll and share those results really quickly. Looks like finance and sales are keeping people up at night. And so hopefully some of your mentors, mentees, and peers can help you with those. And also we will provide some programming in the coming months on those things. Let's see. This is an interesting one because you mentioned paid mentorship. So how does a mentor, business advisor, or consultant compare and contrast? They seem similar. I've also heard attorneys say that business owners should always pay to be advised so that proof of consideration is made to prevent claims on their end if their business thrives. Any thoughts around that one?
First thought is, I am an attorney, but I'm not your attorney, so I'm not going to rebut or support any legal advice that you have received. I will say, I'll leave that to you and your hired counsel. But outside of that, what I would say is that, again, part of this is your gut. Part of the reason that I show Will Smith at the beginning is because you have to stay in alignment with your gut feelings about people and how people are interacting with you. So I'm not sure that there is a one size fits all. My hope is that, when you leave today, you realize your intention is unique to you, your needs are unique to you, and what you have to offer is unique to you. So therefore, you can also screen other people because you've been very clear about what you need and what you have. So hopefully that's helpful. I would again defer you to legal counsel.
Yeah, super helpful.
I don't know that you need, but what I will say, and this is not legal advice, is that there are loads of mentor, mentees, peer relationships that are not paid. And there are some that are. I believe that coaches, mentors, consultants all play very distinct roles that I won't take the time today to discuss, but they offer you very different things when you have those relationships. So today we are speaking specifically about mentors versus coaches and consultants.
Yeah, and I think the expectations of outcomes are different from each too.
Exactly.
Because you can fire advisors.
and you can fire mentors though, that's my point.
True.
Right? You can fire them. And I'll be honest, like my mentee, she comes in she'll be in today at 4 p.m. I don't take notes during our conversation unless there's something specific that I need to remember. Whereas with my coaching clients and my consulting clients, I'm taking notes, I'm sending them, uploads. And so it's not that I take it any less seriously. It's just that I put more of the onus on her to do the work and take the notes and things of that nature.
Yep. And somebody submitted this is perfect timing. Somebody submitted a question ahead of time on this one, but they're saying, how do you foster the relationships? They said they're terrible with follow-up. And I think follow-up is very important.
Exactly. I actually had a fortune cookie that says the fortune is in the follow-up, was in one of my slides that I skipped past. It is extremely important. And that is why you find your folks and you go where they are, but you also have to be sure that you're comfortable on that platform. I'll be quite frank, I really don't spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, but I know it's where I'm supposed to be. And I know that I'll make great business relationships there. I force myself to follow up to every LinkedIn message that I receive. We have to take ownership and discipline ourselves to do the things that we know we need to do. And if that means just putting it on your calendar and saying from 1 to 3 p.m. on Mondays, from 1 to 2 p.m. on Mondays, I follow up, then that's what it takes. And that's where a peer can come in because they can act as your accountability buddy. On your next peer call, they can say, hey, Michelle, did you call those 3 people you said you were going to call last Monday? And trust me, I don't want to show up not having done my homework when this is a relationship where we're both pouring our time into. Hopefully that's helpful.
Super helpful. Let's see, there's 2 questions sort of around the same theme here. One is saying, is it okay to ask someone you just met to be your mentor? And then the other one is, how do you go about asking someone to be your mentor?
Absolutely. I think that there is a level of emotional intelligence that needs to work its way into the relationship, and that's any relationship. So there are people who walk up to me after I do these kinds of talks and they're like, will you be my mentor? And I do feel like we've now made a relationship, so you might feel close to me, and that's a great opportunity to ask. However, if we're at a networking event and I just spoke on the stage and you walk up to me and say, would you be my mentor? I don't know you like that, son, right? That's my New York, right? So I would say nurture them, nurture the relationship, find out if you have something that they also need, find out what it is that they're interested in, what things are keeping them up at night that you might be able to help with, develop a relationship. It's just like any other. You don't show up on the first date and propose at the same time unless you're on love at first sight or whatever, right? So that is really the key. This is about mutually beneficial, ethical relationships that are an exchange of value.
It's amazing. And we're almost at time, but Michelle, what's one piece of advice you want our community to come away with today after your presentation?
Honestly, I think I just said it. I think a lot of us focus very inward, and I'll be quite frank with you, nobody thinks about you as much as you think about you. So if you can show up and think about somebody else, and if you do that enough times, that, like I said, can be sending an article. It can be, checking in with someone and acknowledging something that's happened that's a good thing in their life. You will set yourself apart. And that's how you create a trifecta tribe. I just thank you all for this time.
Well, thank you, Michelle, for sharing your insights and wisdom with our community today. And thank you all for joining us. We have some great events coming up in the next couple days and weeks. So keep a lookout for those. We'll follow up with more information from the bonus materials from Michelle and more on our upcoming events. But Michelle, thank you so much for joining us today. And to everyone else still on the call, we look forward to seeing you all online soon. Thanks again, Michelle.
Thank you so much, Colin. I appreciate it. Thank you all.
See you later, everybody.